Hey trans youth, we actually approach this particular topic for this week quite often because it has something to do with the entire trans community and how we're presented with the world at large, based upon the media. So that's what we're talking about today. Now, we have tackled subjects such as whether media is a good thing for the transgender community. We've also talked about good presentations of the LGBT community at large in the media. We've talked about Will and Grace. We've talked about a few other issues such as very offensive shows who make comedy on drag queens and blame it on being transgendered and the like. But here we are bringing it up, plain and simple. Is the media expressly offensive? Are you personally offended as a trans person by the media at large? Have you had an issue where you are being published in the news, in a radio, on paper, or anything like that that you find expressly offensive? Now this is really cool. This is me. This is my college newspaper. I'm not totally sure if I'm actually able to use it right now. But on this front cover is me. And it's talking about LGBT issues and the state of equality being Wyoming. So inside of this, I have one massive article where I talked about my past. I talked about my transition. I talked about how I felt. I talked about equality. And I talked about bathroom issues, and all of them seem to be very simple. I've practiced, I've said these things before. They're very basic principles, and yet throughout the article I have found several different areas where I'm like, why did you put that in there? Or that's a gross understatement of what I've said. Or even in many cases, that's just not what I meant. And just to illustrate the point here, it says, quote, "I saw boys and girls change. And I realized I didn't want to go through the change of the boys, but the change of the girls." Now that is me saying I wanted to be a girl. That is me saying I didn't want the puberty of a male. I want to change like the girl. It's not I didn't want to go through that puberty. It's not I didn't have that feeling. And that right there is a gross understatement of how I came out. Now, in addition to a few laughable offenses, such as Logan will have her facial hair removed after the hormonal development is completed. Quote, "Until then, I still have to shave every morning," Logan said with a frown. Now what that is saying is that I have to shave every single day, and now the public knows that. Now the public is fully aware that I have facial hair, and that is not important in relations to LGBT equality, my coming out, and other things that I do need to do. And I said it to the reporter. We had a wonderful conversation, but being able to understand that that is not something you need to tell other people about a transgendered person's life should be fairly commonplace in the media. Now, to be fair, I know the reporter. I knew what they were going to write down. I knew exactly how they wanted to portray it. I knew what the point was when I went in for that interview. But they didn't give me the article to proofread before they had posted it in the paper. And because of that, they did not have the same perspective of the community, and as such, said a few things that weren't exactly correct. They also said in this paper, which is actually quite simple, unfortunately oversimplified, that, quote, "Gender is more than separating into X's and Y's." While that's correct, and while that's true, it doesn't explain exactly how it's different. So people are just saying, okay, so it's different. Okay, you still have girls and you still have boys, what's the point? What's the difference? And it doesn't exactly say that transgender people are okay. It doesn't say that transgender people exist. It simply says that there's more than X's and Y's. So one thing that is very important to know is that this always happens in the media, especially when it comes to a newspaper, where a half-hour conversation with a reporter has to be boiled down into about a 3-minute to read story. So a lot of things do need to be simplified, and a lot of quotes are taken out of their context. But it's also important to recognize that in the media at large, words in and of themselves must be articulated importantly. So, am I offended expressly by the media? I'm offended by the people who don't understand the power and stature of their words, and as such, don't present that for the people that they're talking about. It's almost disrespectful of the people that they are talking about to not articulate those words in a way that would better explain things, or at least maintain a neutral ground. Now, I love the person that interviewed me. She was really great. She was awesome. She was very accepting. And when it came to a lot of these issues, I do understand that it was difficult to boil them down into a paper. I took a page and a half. And I definitely understand that's a lot of work. So I do want to thank the media for how much work they're giving to the transgendered people, how much attention that they're giving to us. But it's also important to recognize that when you're looking at the world at large, our opinions in the LGBT community need to be clearly stated, clearly thought, and quoted in a way that is going to make us not look evil and not look ambiguous, not look mysterious, but make us look clearly identified as people, as individuals, and as the transgendered community. On TV, we have this happening a lot. A lot of people who are transgender maybe get about 5 minutes in the spotlight. And when they're quoted, a lot of times they'll be misdirected. People will take words out of their mouths, bring them into a different context, and use that against the transgendered community. The question is this ethical? No, I do not believe that it is. I feel that words being articulated in any form on media, published media, in papers, on TV, in radios, can be easily misconstrued. I am expressly offended by those in the media who choose not to craft their words in a way that is representative of the person they interviewed. That's the point of being interviewed. That's the point of being the media, to get the story out in as objective a manner as possible. But it also seems that viewpoints and limitations and restrictions on the media in and of itself can make the message unheard. So at that end of the seemingly long video, I just want to present 2 announcements here. First, I want to say we have multiple different video blogger positions for both daily bloggers and wildcard positions. So if you're interested, feel free to just jump down into the description and cut and paste that email message. It is transyouthchannel@gmail.com in order to apply. Just send us an email saying you're interested with your YouTube page, and then we'll be good. And second, I do want to say that our Tumblr as well as our SurveyMonkey went off without a hitch. So I want to thank all of you for doing that. And both of them are right down here. They'll be there until the 11th. And as a short PS here, I loved the author of the article. I loved the conversation we had in the middle of that coffee shop. And I absolutely adore how much attention, how much work, how much dedication it took to make an entire issue about LGBT-related rights in the middle of Cheyenne, Wyoming. So I want to thank you, everyone at my local college's publication. I want to thank you for all your hard work. And this video is not simply to offend. It is just to give my honest critique on the subject. I do want to say thank you very much for watching Trans Youth Channel.